Want to be a topper in MBA entrance exams? Join BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and watch serial 99 percentilers teaching you the tips and tricks.
Good noon, all of you. How are you? Hello, Varun. Good noon. Good noon, Gaurav. I am well. I hope the same for you. Right. So, welcome, Sanil. Welcome. Yes, I hope the same, Sanil. Yes, and I do hope that you're able to meet your goals. Being the topper is a good thing, but yes, ultimately, whatever goals you have, whichever college you're aiming for, I hope all of you are able to get into those colleges. That's very important. Good afternoon, Vijay, Dharmi. I'm good, I'm well. It's raining here today, so my mood is anyway better. Whenever it rains, I don't know, I become very happy. Hi, Shaina. Good afternoon. Hi, Pragya. Good afternoon, Ashish. Tejas, Shubhangi, Om. Good noon. Good noon, Roosters. Good afternoon, Rituja. All right, so today we have a session on para summary. Now, para summary again, let's establish in which all exams it is asked. So, of course, it is a major part of CAT, right? So, you can see up to 3 questions from para summary. In fact, if I go by the last year's paper trend, 3 questions from para summary came in the exam. Correct answer gives you a +3 and incorrect answer gives you a -1 in CAT. Which other exams ask para summary? So again, if you pick up your previous year ZAT paper also, you will find one para summary question there. Not many, but yes, one para summary question there. If you pick up your memory based MAHCET papers, you will find in a couple of years that a para summary question has been asked. It's not a regular feature, but in some years it has been asked, right? And in your other exams also, on and off, you can find some para summary questions. Okay, so in NMAT, SNAP, IFT, it's not a regular feature as such, but on and off you can find some para summary questions. For CAT, it is of utmost importance, right? Good noon, all of you have just joined us. Aditya, Kashish, Sweetie. Where am I from? I am from Delhi, born and brought up in Delhi. Currently, I live in Jammu. So it's raining here in Jammu. Okay. Sonali, good noon. Good noon, Nicole. Kinjal, good noon. Right. So let's see some para summary questions. Okay. So my effort has been to include diverse questions, a mix of easy, moderate, and difficult questions. I haven't gone to the very difficult end. Okay. I mean, I have picked up questions. Some questions are from previous year paper, so you get to see the real level. My effort has not been to make things unnecessarily easy or extremely difficult for you. Okay, that has not been the effort. Good noon, Surbi. All right. So let's have a look at some of the questions here. Now, your first question carries 5 options. Okay, so it's a very short paragraph, as you can see on your screen, and read the question stem carefully. Here, what has been asked from us is, based on the passage, the writer's disappointment can be best summarized as. So, right before reading this paragraph, you realize that the writer is disappointed about something in this paragraph. So, you have to just summarize that disappointment, that okay, these are the key reasons because of which the writer is disappointed. So read this, find it out, and tell me what the answer should be. Yes. Let's see what you say. Okay. CET marks, no, Vicky. Let's see what you answer. Masthead, I think you understand in the context of a ship. Yes, the mast of a ship, basically the highest part of the mast is the masthead. For a newspaper, it means the title of the newspaper, the title that is there on the front page or the title of the editorial page. That is the masthead in case of a newspaper. Okay. I've got some responses. Varun says A, Ayush B, Sanil B, Anushka D. Okay, then getting some B's and D's here. Sonali says E. All right. I hope E is visible. Yes, E is visible to everybody. Okay. I had to reduce the font size a little today because the questions of para summary in totality can be lengthy. Yes, Bhushan, we have to summarize the right. Basically, we have to give a summary of this passage itself. Okay. The writer seems to be disappointed about something in this passage. We have to summarize it. Okay. So let's have a look at how we had to attempt this question. Okay. Twitter is not on the masthead of a newspaper. It's not that the title of the newspaper itself says that, okay, this is the name is Twitter, right? But Twitter has become its ultimate editor. Basically, Twitter is deciding what ultimately should be there in the newspaper. As the ethics and mores are conventions, customs. As the ethics and customs of that platform means Twitter, as the ethics and mores of that platform have become those of the newspaper, the paper itself has increasingly become a kind of performance space. Okay, what is it performing? Stories are chosen and told in a way to satisfy the narrowest audience. Okay, so stories are chosen and told in a way to satisfy the narrowest of audiences, and these are the audiences that are there on Twitter, right? Rather than to allow a curious public to read about the world and then draw their own conclusions. So what we are trying to say is that the newspaper has become increasingly influenced by Twitter. Okay, it's basically Twitter that is deciding what ultimately should be put in the newspaper and how the story should be told, right? And by doing that, it is satisfying that narrow audience only, right? Rather than actually doing the job of letting the public draw its own conclusions. That is what the author is saying. Now, A says newspapers are ready to compromise with their ethics. So, this seems to be very vague, very broad, very general, isn't it? If the writer's disappointment is particularly related to Twitter here, okay, it's not a general description of how newspaper today have become unethical or are compromising with their ethics. So in a para summary, we have to be brief, fine, okay, but we have to stick to the paragraph. It should include the main idea, the key idea of the paragraph. So here the discussion is specifically about Twitter, okay, and Twitter is a social media platform, as we all know. So the compromise in ethics, if at all it's happening, it's in the context of the social media platform, and that is a very essential detail which should be mentioned. It's not there in B. Oh, sorry, it's not there in A. So A is rejected. Okay, very general, very broad. So summaries have to be specific. Para summaries have to be specific. They have to stick to the para. They have to stick to the para. Okay. B. Newspapers fear to speak outside the narrow confines of social media. Okay. So they fear to speak outside the narrow confines. That means whatever they are talking about, they're talking about in the, on social media platforms only. So let's say the Hindu has its own Twitter handle or Facebook page or Instagram handle. It's just expressing itself there only and not outside. Is that what the paragraph wants to say? Not at all. Okay, the paragraph does not want to say this, that newspapers are just talking on social media platforms and nowhere else. This is highly distorted and incorrect. Okay, based on our paragraph. So eliminated. So whatever details you are capturing, they have to be accurate. That's a very basic essential that has to be met. It should not be distorted in any manner. Right? C says newspapers get influenced by the followers on social media platforms. What does this imply? that newspapers have followers on social media platforms. So for instance, some of you also must have liked, let's say, the Hindu's Instagram handle or the Guardian's Instagram handle, right? So you become the follower of the Guardian on the social, on that particular social media platform. So are newspapers being influenced by their own followers, or are newspapers being influenced by Twitter? So they are not being influenced by their own followers on social media platforms. Again, distorted. So read each and every word carefully. That goes for any question out there. Read the options carefully. Okay, each and every word matters. All right. So I'm just writing down our learnings from various options here. D. Newspapers create their own narratives. What are narratives? Yes, newspapers create their own narratives. A sort of a way in which you present an issue, that is your narrative. Okay, so basically the way you write the events of a story, or the way you talk about a particular event, a particular story, that sort of a representation is called narrative, right? So newspapers create their own narratives to control the audience. No, that's not happening, that they are creating their own narratives. We are just saying, okay, they are being influenced by Twitter. So again, this is something that's not even mentioned at all, right? Not mentioned at all. So it's something that's additional, not mentioned in the paragraph. The answer is E. Newspapers cave into. What do I mean by cave into? To yield, to bend before, right? To accept. So to yield to the narratives shared on social media platforms. So social media platforms such as Twitter are presenting topics in a particular way. They have a particular opinion of a topic, and newspapers are also caving into those narratives. They are also accepting those narratives, right? And presenting them as such. So E is our answer. And later on, some of you did say E. Okay. Now coming to some of your comments. RC is in a segregated format, because of which, okay, in solution. Okay. In MAHCET mock tests, you are saying this? So RCs, they were in a segregated format because last year that happened with students. So we wanted to give you a realistic picture there, right? And CR questions, as I told you, that you can expect up to 4 to 5 questions on critical reasoning. So I think that is why there were more questions on critical reasoning. Okay. And we have to be prepared for the segregated format, although I really hope that this time it does not appear that way, because last time it presented quite a few problems to students, right? um, Same options, I didn't get this part. Errors in solution key, like same options. So same different questions can have same options as the answer, no? So okay, I thought of B in a way that it is following the confines which are present on social media and their newspapers. They fear to speak outside the narrow confines of social media. Okay, you thought of it that way. The part is that we have not said fear. We have not actually mentioned fear also. If you read this again, if you read this paragraph, we are saying that okay, newspapers have adopted that, right? Newspapers are trying to satisfy the narrowest of audiences. They are pandering to that audience. Pandering, they're trying to ingratiate that audience. Okay, they're trying to satisfy that audience. But are they afraid? So fear itself, the moment you read fear, you have to cross check from the paragraph, are they afraid? Okay, or is it that they're trying to pander to an audience, they're trying to just be in the good books of a particular kind of audience? So here itself it becomes slightly distorted, right? Even if you, let's say you interpret it that way. But yes, the interpretation, the correct interpretation is that they are speaking only in on social media platforms and not outside. That is the correct interpretation of B. Okay. All right. So E is our answer here. Hope this is clear to everybody. And here's a checklist of some things that you have to take care of. We'll look at some more points as we come across more questions. Right? Okay, so now for the remaining questions, you have a passage given which is followed by 4 summaries. You have to choose the option that best captures the author's position, right? So let's have a look. Here's a question. Now, again, the directions remain the same for each and every question, so you don't have to worry about it. I want you to focus on two things, that when you read, first of all, you can, in your mind, let's say, because right now here you can't underline in a way in your mind, just highlight the key ideas from this paragraph. Okay. And then in your answer choice, all of those key ideas might not be present, but the correct answer choice is usually the one that presents, let's say, majority of the key ideas, or is better than the other options, or better than the other options. So compare, eliminate. Okay. Always compare and eliminate and see which one is capturing the maximum key ideas out there. That's how you attempt this question. Okay, so read. Nothing philosophical here. Yes. Okay. So I've got some quick responses here. Sanil quickly said C. So did Kashish. Kinjal also said C. Okay. Others. Okay. Rajiv says C or D. Rooster says D. Dharmi C. Okay. Nikit says C. Shubham C. Okay, so I'm getting quite a few C's here. I think it's almost a unanimous C, right? Okay, good, good. So this was C, an easy question, right? Now, a good thing that all of you realized here, I just want to highlight it again. Whenever the author suggests a solution, okay, or let's say gives out a decision, okay, makes a suggestion, then the key idea of the author, basically the purpose of the author behind writing that paragraph is to actually give that suggestion or present that solution or take that decision. Okay, so whenever some solutions, some suggestions, some conclusions are arrived at by the author, then they have to be a part of the para summary, right? Because they present a major idea because of which the author has written that paragraph. So here this part was very important. A better solution would be bottom up peace building, which would involve their spending more time working with community. So, this is the solution. Understanding their grievances and earning their trust rather than only meeting government officials. So, this part has to be present in the para summary. Now, A says, but it is time to change the scenario. It does not say how. How? Because if the author has suggested a specific solution to that end, then that should be mentioned in the para summary, right? So good, C is the answer here. Peacekeeping forces in foreign countries have tended to be aloof. So that is the part that is covered here. Okay, they live in posh compounds, they distance themselves from locals, they drive fancy vehicles, right? But, and we also then, the author then justifies all it also. This may be partially justified. So that's why here also we say for valid reasons. But would be more effective. These forces would be more effective if they work more closely with the local communities. So this captures everything, all the three major key ideas. They have been aloof, partially justified, but the solution, the better solution would be this. 1, 2, 3. Good. So it's a very apt summary. D, aloof means yes, when you stay away from other people, when you're reserved in nature. Yes. Why not B? Okay. Peacekeeping duties would be more effectively performed by local residents. That is not the solution that the author suggests. The author says that okay, foreign peacekeepers can do this. Foreign peacekeepers can actually work for peace building, but they'll have to be more involved with the local community. right? It's not saying that it can be performed by local residents. That has not been suggested. Okay, so this is incorrect actually as per the paragraph. Okay, so this is eliminated. Then D also, one of you said, working is in poor countries have justifiably made them the target of local anger. So this just presents the problem. The author has suggested a solution also. First of all, there is a problem with the problem also. Okay, this is also a little distorted there, but then it's incomplete. That's the major problem with it. When you have a more complete option which gives you the solution also, you will not choose something that is incomplete. So just adding to the list that we made in the previous question, that it should not be alien and it should be complete. Okay, given the other options, you always have to compare, remember that. Okay, so C is our answer here. All right. Now, coming to the next question. This is a science topic. So let's see what you say here. Okay. Okay, Vicky. I'll inform this. I'll inform this to our team. This must have been a typo. Okay. So yeah, we'll correct this. Let's see what you say. I've got one response. Others. Page 3 also says B. Varun says B. Sanskar B. Okay. Sanil also says B. All right. Anushka B. Kashish says C or B. Distorted means that it is, so for instance, if my paragraph says X leads to Y, this option is saying Y leads to X. So it is twisting what has been mentioned in the paragraph. That is distortion. Okay, okay, okay. No, yeah, no, I'm not. No offense taken, Vicky. I didn't interpret it that way. It's absolutely, you're notifying us of a correct thing. We'll get this corrected. Don't worry. A, B, C, D. Okay. So I've got every option here. All right. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So I've got quite a few B's and C's in this one. So let's see B and C. C says, while digital publication of research is gaining popularity in many scientific disciplines, okay, almost all peer-reviewed journals are reluctant to accept papers that have been published before. Whenever there are extreme words like this, when I say almost all, majority, that's a major assertion that I'm making. That's an important big assertion that I'm making. So does this say that almost all peer-reviewed journals are reluctant to accept papers? But some journals still don't accept research previously published as preprint, right? So this here becomes extreme. Okay, also we are talking about biologists and physicists. Do we talk about other disciplines? Yes, we are talking primarily in the context of biologists and physicists. So while digital publication of research is gaining popularity in many scientific disciplines, this itself is a little iffy. It's a little questionable. So I put a question mark here. In the moment I saw almost all peer reviewed journals are reluctant. That is incorrect. Okay, in fact, the point is that in physics, people are more open to, let's say, publishing them digitally, whereas in biology, this is not. I mean, this is not the trend because biologists have to encounter their own conservative research community, right? So C is eliminated. B is the answer. Compared to biologists, physicists are less conservative in their acceptance of digital pre-publication. So they are less conservative here. Their journals accept digital pre-publication of research papers. And what is the benefit of this? What do the advocates say? That this allows for quick and open dissemination of research and it speeds up scientific progress. Okay, so faster dissemination of knowledge, that's an advantage. So we talk about biologists, we compare them with physicists, we argue that how in physics they routinely publish research digitally, okay, and it's accepted also, right? This is the benefit of it, but some journals are still not accepting it, okay, and particularly it's a problem for biologists because of their conservative research community. So by and large, B captures all the key ideas of this paragraph, right? Hope this makes sense. All right. What about the last part? So the last part says, the last part talks about no that okay, biologists basically, even if the idea of preprints is gaining ground, one of the biggest barriers for biologists is how they would be viewed by members of their conservative research community. So that is one of the biggest barriers for them. That means compared to these biologists, physicists don't actually, they aren't facing this barrier as such, right? That is how my option B phrases it, that compared to biologists who still face this barrier, physicists are less conservative. When I say less conservative, I am comparing their conservativeness, isn't it? So that last part is covered in B. Okay, disseminate is to spread. What if there is no almost in C? Then it would be all. Oh, then we would not consider it at all. Okay, A is exactly the opposite. Let's see. Preprints of research are frowned on by some scientific fields as they, this part, see the moment I read this part, no, as they do not undergo a rigorous reviewing process. This is not at all there in the paragraph. This is additional. Where have we talked about this rigorous reviewing process? Okay, and moreover, it says, but are accepted among biologists. So you are absolutely right. This goes opposite. This says something that's the opposite. Okay. So this is false as per my paragraph. Absolutely correct. Okay. All right. So Varsha has a syllogism question. It says all Indians are honest. All Indians are honest. I'm presenting this using Venn diagrams. Some honest are foolish. Okay. All right. Conclusion says some foolish are Indians. No, we can clearly see that's not the case. Some foolish are Indians. That's not the case. And some honest are Indians. Some honest are Indians will always be true. The moment you say all Indians are honest, some honest are Indians automatically becomes true. Right? So only the second one follows. So look at this Varsha. When I say all Indians are honest, I made Indians a smaller circle and honest the bigger circle. I could have done this also. I could have done this also. But we avoid extreme diagrams. Okay, we try to go for minimum overlap. This is complete overlap. Then when I say some honest are foolish, I could have drawn foolish like this also, covering Indians. Right? But why to do that? I go for minimum overlap again. You should always go for minimum overlap. That gives you clarity regarding conclusions. So I went for minimum overlap. Some honest are foolish. Now, that made it very easy for me to reject the first conclusion. Some foolish are Indians. I could clearly see that it's not necessary that they have to be together, that they have to intersect. And the second one was true automatically. The moment you say all A is B, some B is A automatically becomes true. Okay. Hope this makes sense. So Bhushan, I conducted a whole session on syllogism. In fact, Varsha, you will benefit from seeing it because this is one of the initial conceptual questions. So if you have a confusion in this, then I think you will benefit from that session. So I took a whole session on syllogism. It is there in our videos, okay? And I took it for MAHCET, I think, particularly. I remember. So do check that out. Okay, I explained everything from a very basic level there. Okay, all right. So let's have a look at the next question, okay? This was about biologists, physicists, so it was science. Let's see what the next one is about. Okay, you will identify with this, you will relate with this perhaps. Look at it and tell me what the answer should be. Yes, Suraj, you have to make that effort, that you have to try everything possible to not let it be valid. But if you're just unable to disprove it, then yes, it follows. You are correct. Yes, Harry. I think MHCT, in the MHCT playlist, it should be there. Uh, Let me see if I'm able to find it, and if it's possible to share links here. I'll just look up for it. Okay. Meanwhile, you attempt this question. Okay, do you feel okay? This was the title of the session. I found it. Okay, and I am trying to share the link here if that's possible. All right. So A, C, D, that's what I've got from you. A, C, and D. So watch this session, Varsha. That will help. Okay. So quite a few A's I've got in this. Let's have a look. People view idleness as a sin and industriousness as a virtue. So of course the vocabulary helps us here. Remember we did this question with the difference between idle, ideal. Yes. So now we know, although a lot of us already knew this, that being idle is when you don't do anything, right? So people view idleness as a sin and industriousness, hard work. When is a person industrious? When they work hard. Industriousness as a virtue. So sin, the opposite is virtue. And in the process have developed an unsatisfactory relationship with their jobs. So because of this, they have developed an unsatisfactory relationship with their jobs. Work has become a way for them to keep busy. Okay, so people think working means keeping busy. Even though many find their work meaningless, even though many don't find meaning in their work. In their need for activity, people undertake what was once considered work as hobbies, like fishing, gardening. Okay, people undertake these as hobbies today. The opposing view is that hard work has made us prosperous and improved our levels of health and education. This is what the opponents of, so basically this is one view and this is the opposing view. So our para summary has to mention both the views. That should be clear, right? Has made us prosperous and improved our levels of health and education. It has also brought innovation and labor and time-saving devices. So innovation, right? Labor and time-saving devices, improved health and education. So many benefits, which have lessened life's drudgery. Drudgery is again the boredom that emerges from menial work, meaningless work, right? Very lowly work. So that is the view of the author has simply presented two viewpoints here regarding work, regarding hard work particularly. Now, A says Some believe that hard work has been glorified to the extent that it has become meaningless and led to greater idleness. Led to greater idleness. How? Where is this mentioned? That hard work has led to greater idleness. In fact, we are saying that today work means keeping busy. So this is incorrect. I don't know why so many of you are saying A as the answer. C says hard work has overtaken all aspects of our lives. Yes, it has overtaken all aspects of our lives. Where is this mentioned in the passage? And has enabled economic prosperity. Okay, fine. This part I think, okay. It talks about health and education again. Economic prosperity, fine. I can still consider. But it is important that people reserve their leisure time for some idleness. Has the author given this suggestion? Has the author given any suggestion here? The author is simply presenting two opposing viewpoints. So read each and every word carefully. You will find the errors. You will find what is off with a particular option. Despite some detractors again, people who oppose something. Okay. Despite some detractors, hard work is essential in today's world to enable economic progress. Has the author given this opinion? Has the author taken the side of one of the views that, oh, this second view is better? The second view should be followed. No. Okay. So, this, while the idealization of hard work, we are idealizing it, we are presenting it as a virtue. While the idealization of hard work has propelled people into meaningless jobs, because of this, people are actually there in meaningless jobs and endless activity. People are keeping busy. It has also led to tremendous social benefits such as health and education from prosperity. These social benefits, they stem from prosperity and innovation. So don't you think D covers all the major points without giving any opinion? The author has not presented his or her own opinion in this paragraph. Very important to understand these things. Okay, so two nuanced things that we understood today. When the author gives a viewpoint, when the author gives a conclusion, then it's important for the para summary to capture it. When the author does not give any conclusion, does not make any suggestions, our para summary cannot make suggestions on its own. Right? So D Delhi is the answer here. Hope this makes sense to you. And hope you've liked the session so far. Yes? Still some questions to go. All right. Saral sir session is also there. Then yes, you can watch that as well. Right? So that will probably, again, you can watch both if you want, or you can watch either, because the concepts remain the same, right? If we go for the Venn diagram method, the concepts remain absolutely the same. Okay. Now, here we have a lengthy paragraph, okay, but I assure you this is not difficult, okay. So again, on the other side of the spectrum, probably some comparison has been made here as well, okay. So our para summary also will talk about both the sides of the spectrum, right? So whenever there's a comparison, the para summary has to capture both the sides. Read it and let's see who answers the fastest. Yes. Thank you, Vicky. All right, let's see this. Thank you, Pratham. The last one is in differential speed and ability to provide a rationale. D, C, all right. B, okay, but more of D's. Others, So A can be eliminated, yes. A talks just about the decisions made based on intuition. So it's incomplete. We have to talk about decisions based on information also. Yes, so good. I'm glad nobody marked A. Then B seems like a candidate. When you're reading in that order, you don't reject B right away. You see, oh, let me see if there's a better option out there or not. C, again you reject right away because it takes a side. Remember, in the previous question only we have seen that if the author does not take a side, we can't take a side. We can't take a stance then. So this takes a side. It is better to do X. So eliminated. Between B and D, which is more comprehensive? It is D that is more comprehensive, right? Because it doesn't just talk about the time available. It doesn't just talk about the speed. It also talks about the ability to provide a rationale, right? So, in this is an important thing that has been mentioned both about informations related to intuition, that here you'll have difficulty. Here, on the other hand, you can clearly explain the rationale behind these decisions, right? So it's not about just the speed, it's also about the ability to provide a rationale. So this is more comprehensive as compared to B. Correct. Okay. I hope this makes sense. D Delhi is the answer here. So these questions that I've included, they're not very difficult questions. If you see, none of the questions so far have been, let's say, very philosophical, so to say. If, let's say, this did talk about something in general, it was still very relatable to us, right? Okay, let's have a look at this question again. Nothing philosophical so far. Rational is the reasoning. Yes, correct. Yes, Sanil. Absolutely. Let's see what you say for this one. Correct, Sonali. Got one response. Okay. All right. Sanil, which all exams are you targeting? China says D. So 2D is 1A so far. Sonali B. Okay. Asha D. All right. 4Ds, 1A. 5Ds, 6Ds. Okay. 7. All right. 8. So we seem to be pretty sure. Sweetie said X, says X. Sweetie saying I'll not say A, B, C, or D. Let's just come up with a new letter. Okay, Sneha D, Sweetie D. All right. Minerva D. Okay. You can consider cat also, Sanil. D. All right. Perfect. D is the answer here. I've also got A, so I'll explain A also. Right. Apart from that, majority of you said D Delhi. Right. So here again, try to understand what the author is telling you. The author is saying that if an organization is hybrid, no. What does hybrid mean? That it presents a combination of social movements. So let's say there is an organization that works for children's rights also, it works for women's rights also, right? And it works for underprivileged people in general also. So let's say the underprivileged, the marginalized people, it works for them also in general, right? So This is a hybrid NGO. This is a hybrid, let's say it could be a non-governmental organization, basically a hybrid organization working for multiple social movements. So what the author is saying is that if there is an organization that is dedicated just to a specific social movement, then it often struggles to mobilize supporters from the allied movements, allied, associated but different, right? In their efforts to achieve critical mass, great volumes, a great number of people associated with them. Whereas organizations with hybrid identities, such as these, right, they are vital to mobilizing these constituencies. They are vital, they are essential to actually mobilize a greater number of people who have associated with different causes, right? So then we talk about some studies, right? And what do these studies show? That people who, they are, see, some of you must have got confused here, non anti-war movements. That means people whose main cause is not peace, not anti-war, but some other causes. So such people are more likely to join hybrid organization, right? So those who were not initially associated with anti-war movements, they are more likely to join hybrid organization. In addition, these hybrid identities, they occupy relatively more central positions in inter-organizational contact networks within the anti-war movement, right? So such organizations, such hybrid organizations, they also occupy a more central position when it comes to even the network for anti-war movements. So all in all, उनको ज़्यादा importance मिल रही है. All in all, उनका network better है, right? And that's why they are able to recruit more participants also in demonstrations than do non-hybrid organizations. So here there is a clear stance. Here there is a clear stance. The author is saying that hybrid organizations are able to attract more people. They're able to, they enjoy a better network. They're able to gather more participants for demonstration. So that's what we had to capture. So if I say A says people who are involved in non-anti-war movements are likely to join hybrid organizations. This is not incorrect. Okay, this is not incorrect. Okay, that people who are involved in non-anti-war movements are likely to join hybrid organizations. However, it is very narrow. It is just a fact mentioned in the paragraph. It is not the essence of the paragraph, right? D, on the other hand, is the essence, that they are able to mobilize individuals with different points of view who have different causes, right? Hope this makes sense to you. Yes, A is just a part. Correct, Pragya. All right. Okay, good, Vicky, good. Then what should we do if the passage and the options are lengthy and we do not have enough time? Okay, so Pratham, in that case, see, in case you get multiple para summary questions, so for instance, in the case of CAT, okay, what I recommend to students is that don't worry about length so much as about the topic, because sometimes the short paragraph could be very philosophical or from an area that you're not familiar with. In that case, even in that short paragraph, you will take more time. So length for me is secondary as compared to the language, the level of language, the level of the familiarity with the topic, right? That's my suggestion to you. And if in case you do not have enough time at all attempt any question, and there is just one para summary question, then see first of all what are the other questions that you're left with. If there's just one para summary question, if there's some shorter question that you're left with in MAHCET, let's say, definitely go for that, right? That would be the suggestion. Okay, so I hope this makes sense to you, this paragraph. Yes. Let's see another question. Up for it? Yes. It's about a Japanese government panel. It has announced something. Science, it's related to, yes, genes and etc. Something that we were discussing yesterday itself. So yes, let's see what you say here. The last question for the day, okay? I understand that you've been reading a lot. So the last question for the day, let's see what you say. Let's see. Bhushan, I'll have to go back and recheck B and C. I didn't have a look at B and C that well. Okay. A maybe. Okay. B, C, B. So three B's, three C's. All right. Tough competition between B and C. C, okay. Now I have more of C's. Again, you could observe a pattern in this paragraph. So Tripti, I don't do that because again, my effort is to be as region neutral as possible, right? Because if at times I explain in Hindi, some students don't understand it. Okay, so I don't want that also to happen. And because we are trying to better ourselves in English, that's why my effort is to use simple English words in which I can explain things to you. C, D, B, all right. It's C, okay. So Shaina is pretty sure about it that it is C. Let's see if it's correct or not. Absolutely correct. So again, see, once you solve a number of para summary questions, now you start observing patterns in paragraphs also, in the structure of paragraphs also. Again, this was the kind of paragraph that wherein the author had a clear-cut opinion towards the end. Okay, so the basically not the author as such, but yes, the author gives the editorial's opinion here. While lauding the potential benefits of genome editing, an editorial opposes across the board permission. Across the board is an umbrella permission, right? A broad permission that has been granted. Unforeseen risks in gene editing cannot be ruled out. All genetically modified products must go through the same safety and labeling processes regardless of method. So here the author seems to concur, seems to agree with the editorial and says that unforeseen risks in gene editing cannot be ruled out. The moment the author has given a viewpoint or has agreed with the viewpoint of the editorial, this becomes important to figure in my para summary. If I mark A as the answer, then it just talks about the Japan government's announcement. Okay, that okay, they are not the same. First of all, that's not even the point of the announcement, right? And secondly, this just talks about the announcement, not about the viewpoints on that, the reactions on that announcement. Eliminated. B, creating categories within genetically modified products in terms of transgenic modification and genome editing advances science but defies laws. Which laws? Yes. Have we talked about various laws here? No, we haven't. Yes. So that's there. That's, I mean, again, additional, something not mentioned. See, exempting from regulations the editing of endogenous genes. Endogenous is belonging to your own country. So exempting, we have exempted those from regulations, isn't it? Japanese government has exempted those from regulations. So this is not desirable. This is something that the author's viewpoint also says. Okay, it's not desirable as this procedure might be risk prone, right? They we have to, that's why the author says that they have to follow the same safety processes. Okay, so there are unforeseen risks. So C is the answer. Okay, then this is not even the main point. It's about genome editing and not just about microbes, right? It's very narrow. So let's add one more point to our list. The list that we made in the beginning. It should not be too narrow. It should not be too narrow. So I'm putting a cross here that it should not be too narrow. Just an extract, as you said, from the paragraph. Right. So Suraj, but then how can we say that it defies laws? In that case, if you're saying that the announcement is a law, in case, I assume that also to be the case, although that's not necessarily the case if the government panel makes an announcement. Um, but if I assume that to be the case also, then it does not defy the law, no? Then it is the law, right? Okay, so I hope what we've done today is clear to you. So we've seen through various questions how a summary is the brief of what the paragraph states. It has to stick to the paragraph and give us accurate, not distorted details. Reading the options carefully matters a lot because that helps us in elimination, and we have to mark the most appropriate answer even if we feel that this is not the most comprehensive summary out there. So a summary cannot contain anything additional. It should be complete as compared to the other options, and it can't just be one sentence from the paragraph, which is not really the essence of the paragraph. Right, so this is all that we've discussed today. Hope this makes you better in attempting para summary questions. Welcome, welcome Pragya, welcome Suraj. So Shweta, the number is not defined and it's not every year that you get para summary questions in MAHCET. Okay, but in the previous year papers, I have seen 1 to 2 questions on para summary. Not more than that. Not more than that. However, it will help you even in your RC passages because ultimately the main idea question of RC passages, okay, that is nothing. Basically, you are doing at the level of a lengthy passage what you are doing here at the level of a paragraph. So these concepts, these principles that you've learned here, those that I just read out, that list, they'll help you even for your main idea question. Okay? All right. And you all know this, that this is starting. So do join us from August 1. Welcome, welcome. Yes, see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, all of you. And let's stay connected. All right? Bye. Welcome, welcome. See you, see you. Welcome. Good time to you too.